This is the quarterly meeting of the Newbury Cultural Council. This meeting on Monday, November 3rd, 2023 is the annual voting meeting.
13th.
What did I say?
3rd.
November 13th. Thank you, Jean. Roll call. Robin Lawson, Chair. Present. Bart Bracken.
Present.
Amy Flanagan.
Present.
Margaret Russell.
Here.
Jean Anderson.
Here.
Lloyd Benedict.
Present.
A full complement. The first item on the agenda is to approve the September 25th meeting minutes. I have Jean to thank for that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All set. Now, Bart, you're next on the agenda. Treasurer update.
No, I have no updates on the amount of money that's available. It was listed in the notes here. I did reach out to everybody who has not submitted their request for last year's funding. I got one response from somebody who said they're in the process of doing it, but I did not hear from the others, so I'm going to reach out to them again. Apparently Amy did this just after Thanksgiving as opposed to before, so I was trying to kind of move it along a little bit, and hopefully we'll find out soon kind of where they are. But that's pretty much it. The only one that they responded was the Plum Fest, right? And they talked to you, didn't remind me about that. Yeah. They were going to reach out to you.
Yes.
Someone asked that we speak with Betty, and you said you would reach out. Is that?
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Not quite. There's a new team coming in, right, to manage Plumfest 2024. And Bart, I said that I would gladly talk to her. I emailed her privately. I didn't copy everybody, and I have yet to hear back from her. But what I did in my email was I sent the link to the Smart Simple, which frankly is pretty self-explanatory, although I would be delighted to talk to her. And I will try again.
And I believe she's traveling.
Oh, okay, that explains it. All right, Mary Ellen, I think her name was, right? So,
Oh, who had the question?
who reached out to us?
I'd have to look.
Yeah, don't worry. In any event, that's
The ball's in their
and then
court.
the ball's exactly the ball's in
Ball
their
is in their court, and we shall move on.
Indeed.
Actually, no, I have a question.
Okay.
Which is, so this is they have until, this is fiscal year 23 cancellation. They did not submit a request for fiscal year 2024.
Not surprisingly, since it was canceled.
So can the funds from this past year easily be rolled over to cover fiscal year 24 if they didn't submit a proposal?
Because they canceled.
Yeah, hopefully, but I'm just asking what the mechanism is.
This was in the minutes from we had this discussion, excuse me for interrupting, but I think it was in our minutes from a discussion, one of Amy's last meetings. And we gave them, and they had a certain date for a rollover for the money.
For a rollover.
Because the weather was inclement, and so they didn't use it.
We've done that. We've done it more recently than that. But you're right, Lloyd. And
There is a date in
the meeting, in our meeting minutes from September 25th. You're right. We did discuss it. Plumfest cancellation caused by Hurricane Lee on September 16th will result in a rollover of the grant funds to 2024, and that the organizers will apply for a grant next year.
They didn't apply.
Actually, well, I'm just reading it.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
They're two different things, though. A rollover of the grant money for next year and a new grant request, my understanding are two different things. And I actually don't know the answer any more than I did last time we talked about this.
My memory is that Amy said that in her discussions with the outgoing people or whatever,
yeah.
It's an amorphous group, that they would probably forego another application for 2024 in lieu of rolling over the funds from this year.
I'm a little confused. Amy wasn't at the September meeting.
Oh, all right, we talked about it earlier in the summer. This has been,
Okay.
or
Would have
we
been
had talked about it in the 20th, maybe it wasn't her last meeting.
Well, we didn't know.
We wouldn't have
We
known.
wouldn't have known. It
About
happened
the
in
hurricane.
September.
Right. So
Right,
anyways,
so we
the
talked about
question
it
Must have been another
we
context.
talked about it in September 2 months ago. So
Right, that's what I remember.
Right, that's what you remember. in any event, I don't know the answer I don't know the rules about whether or not something that is canceled because of inclement weather, if it's rolled over to next year, or if they need to apply for new grants. I just don't know. Maybe that's one of the things that Mary Ellen needed to ask us, and I can find that out, but as of right now, I don't know. And if nobody else knows, then,
But I can tell you how the funding
okay.
piece of it is, that we, when we looked at how much money was available to us, we assumed that all the money that we had approved from this year was going to actually be spent.
Right.
So if it's not spent, which is I think where you were going, Jean, is that if it's not spent, and they did not apply for it for next year, can we simply apply it to our grants next year?
Right.
Because there's no way they could get that unless they apply for a rollover probably by the end of this
And a
calendar
rollover is
year.
really the same as a modification,
I think
basically.
that's what it
Wouldn't we
Well,
just be telling
well,
them to do a modification to their grant for,
I would think so, yeah. And the fact is that they have not applied for 2024, which we all know because we just reviewed the stuff and
Which
there's nothing there.
means
So I
that,
think,
but you
we should-
also mentioned that somebody else is now gonna be running Plum Fest. Is that what I just heard?
they have a new team. I mean,
She's
based
the
on that
person who we-
email chain they
Yeah.
sent you. there's
she's the
a-
one who reached out to us.
Yeah, there seems to be a whole group of people there.
How much money was it? I can't remember. Was it 600? I have it.
I don't remember, but we
pulled
can
it up.
look it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, in
Yeah,
last
look it
year's.
up.
Let me see if I have it in my stuff, but I don't think
It
I
was
do.
3.
In the
700.
short term, what it means is, if am I correct, is that we're going to count it as spent, and they have a time limit, being the end of this year, to ask for a moderation, a
Modification,
rollover,
yeah.
whatever you want to call it, however we legally put it. And at that point, if they don't do that, they haven't put in an application for 2024, so then that money will revert back to us to use in next year's grant making. That's
Next
the
year's being 25.
25, correct.
Yeah, it's $700 right here.
$700. Does that make sense? Is that what we, so now we have to reach out to this new group and say, you're on the clock, the ball's in your court.
Yeah, I would like to maybe just like kind of, if you will, hold the $700 in reserve, just kind of have it there.
Right.
See how it plays itself out, but not actually allocate it tonight. Just,
Correct.
For 2024.
I agree with you. Okay,
That's what I propose.
That's, yeah.
so,
That would-
Yeah. please.
Second.
What I was getting at. Okay.
Right,
just
I
keep
was,
it-
I was just restating what you.
Yeah, perfect. That way they won't come back and go, huh, because they're all rookies over there at this
Yeah,
moment.
they're probably thinking
Right.
they're going to just be able to use it.
Right, and then they're gonna say, wait, that happened already? Okay.
Do they have a timeline for submitting the modification, Bart?
I don't know the answer to that. I could guess, but my guess is the end of calendar year.
The end of the calendar year.
There's
But,
no,
but I have no knowledge of that. I'd have to go back and look at the regs.
and if this person who is in charge is away, that's 6 weeks of needing to make sure somebody responds.
all right, so what I'll do is
Yeah.
I will try her again tomorrow. And find out because they missed the window for the grant application for 2024, as we all know. So we're all agreeing that we're gonna hold that $700 in reserve for 2024 for Plymouth, and if they don't want it, then we will simply
Use it in 2025.
Yeah, because we
Yeah,
have all
yeah.
kinds of fungible
Right.
funds, right?
So, well, can we take that as a proposal?
That's a motion?
That's a
Second?
motion, second, okay? That's what we'll do. All right.
You got that, Secretariat?
Exactly,
Yeah.
but.
Well, you know what we mean. and we
I
can-
know what
we'll-
you mean, and I will try to make sure that I've.
You want to put that in words, Lloyd?
Yeah, you want to somebody want to give me a sentence?
Well, yeah, Art put it pretty nicely, but we will give the Plum Island group, Plum Fest, until whatever our regulations say, to ask for a rollover, how do we call it again?
Rollover
A
or
modification. It's a
Modification.
Modification.
And we'll hold their funds, and if they don't come through before that date, then we'll hold that money and use it for a grant in 2025.
And I guess the only caveat to that is Robin confirming maybe that
Right, we're
that
gonna-
modification and rollover is allowed under the
Right.
Well,
rules.
you know, I'll tell you something that I have been finding out as I go along here, and that includes meeting with Eileen, who is our now retired town accountant, and reading the guidelines, and having been doing this for a few years, the rules are not as strict as, I think we've assumed in the past. There's a great deal of flexibility in our decision-making. So if that's what we decide to do, then that's what we're gonna do. All right? We're not breaking any rules. Because I've seen over the years how the funds come, because all the funds aren't allotted, as Bart was just saying a few minutes ago. So
Right.
this is what we decided, this is under our jurisdiction as the local cultural council.
And I believe we've had other situations close to that.
Absolutely.
To this, and the money eventually ended up in their hands.
Yeah,
Or it didn't,
Or it
and we
didn't.
used it.
right, right, and remember that one
Spent.
year, a few years ago, when we found out that we had something like $9,000 to spend? You were there, and it was because of unspent funds. We were like, oh, cool.
Right,
And so
right,
this is the
right.
thing, when I said fungible, that's kind of what I meant.
Yep.
All right, we all agree?
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Right, like-
So
So the motion has been proposed. I'm sorry, who seconded it?
I did.
Robin, okay. And the vote?
We all said aye.
Aye.
Yep.
Aye.
Okay.
So that is it for the treasurer update and the 23 grant modification we're done.
Covered both of them.
Yes. Well
And there's
done.
no other modifications needed?
Not that I know of.
Okay. No needing other votes.
Next on the agenda, we have update on new town employees and status of email access. There is a new town accountant whose name is Eva. She has come in and been trained by Eileen, so that is excellent news.
What's her name?
Eva,
Castro.
yeah. Now, there are other new town employees, but I don't think it's necessarily relevant to us. However, the status of the email access is, we unfortunately do not have good news on that. We heard, Bart and I followed up with John Temple, who's our new IT manager. And essentially he came back and said it's more complicated than he realized. It has to do with the state. So as of right now, we do not have a Newbury Cultural Council at Town of Newbury email address that we can use, which is not ideal, but it is what it is. So we are currently continuing to use the Newbury Cultural Council at gmail.com. And Bart is the only one who has access to that because of problems that we had. It's a Gmail thing. It's not designed, Gmail is not designed for our current uses to put it in, say it in shorthand. And so because of that, trying to get multiple people to get access to an email account, it's just not that simple. So, well, you know, Bart, just as an FYI, I happen to check my own Gmail address, which I don't use it, so I hardly ever check it.
Yep.
And I did see that an email from you, an email came through having to do with that email, that access, so I'm gonna try that again.
Oh,
I will try that
Okay.
again, right, because I think I checked it constantly, but who knows? Maybe it came a month later. But there's an email in there, so we're gonna go through the cycle again, but in any event,
okay.
right now, Bart is the only one who has access to it.
So do we think this is gonna happen later?
I'm only reporting what I know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. And John gave us to believe when we met with him, when Bart and I met with him, that this was important and it's a best practice for us to be able to use a town for many, many, many reasons, which I think we talked about last time.
Yeah.
But as of right now, he's got his hands full. All right, so it's not that urgent that I want to be in his face. Right, Bart? You agree?
I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
I think at this point, we're just gonna have to do it on our own.
Yeah, okay.
Do you have access to the town website now?
I've always had access to it.
Okay.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, Jean. I actually,
Or
yeah, I know what you mean. There was something I couldn't get access to, and I can't remember what it was.
But you can get onto our site on the town website and edit it if need be.
I can't remember. I'll check again.
I'm sure you're just flooded with emails, Bart, right?
There's hardly any. I was just thinking, I'm wondering if I should, I'm gonna take you off, I have to go
But I'm
onto
gonna
the
check
email.
that, Jean, and I'll let
But
you
I'll
know.
go into my
Okay.
email here to see if
I
there
thought
is
you had not have been able to get that.
anything
I think you're right.
there.
I don't think it's something we actually have to do too much right now.
Yeah, and I remember bringing it up, actually, when we met with Eileen, and I just don't remember, it was weeks ago, I don't remember the shot. But I will find out.
So I did get a, the only thing that's in the email right now, other than some general stuff, you know, we get notifications when people are, you know, advertising that they have something coming up. We get some of that. But I just got a report from the town accountant. So there's nothing here for this meeting, so we can continue.
So any other discussion on that, the town employees and the email access and et cetera? Okay. Update on Newbury Town Day Committee and funding. As I alluded to last time we met on September 25th, the town of Newbury is setting up a standing committee under the auspices of the town for Newbury Town Day. And that's largely because the funding for Newbury Town Day is town money. That's, at one point we had a grant from the Institution for Savings, and as you know, we had Newbury Cultural, and we had local cultural council grants. But now the major funding is from the town. So the town has decided, and this was voted at the select board meeting the day after we met last, and I knew it was going to happen, but obviously I needed to, it wasn't had to be voted on yet, so I needed to be mocked. So now I can tell you that it passed. And I've read I wasn't at the meeting, but I read the select board meeting minutes, and what the select board voted on was, first, they approved the mission statement that I had written and took out under the auspices of Newbury Cultural Council. That is no more. It is no longer under the auspices of the Cultural Council, it's under the auspices of the town. All right, and then the second thing they voted on was to have a standing committee with monies allotted to fund Newbury Town Day, and that new recruits would be needed for this new committee. As you know, because I did tell you this, Heidi and I have decided to step aside and for fresh energy, right? And that's my report on that. Okay, so that's why, and I needed to bring it up when we talked last time, because I wanted you all to know that Newbury Cultural Council would have that money that we granted, and there was a mistake, there was a complete error and misunderstanding about what the funds were to be allotted for that Eileen told us about. We talked about this already. In any event, so that money reverted, that we awarded, we Cultural Council awarded Newbury Town Day for 2023, those monies are now reverted to our budget, right?
For 2024.
2023.
But we to be used for 2024.
Exactly right, exactly. So that's back in our funds. Is this making sense?
Is that part of what we think the total is tonight?
I believe it's in there.
It's
Yeah.
already in there.
It should be.
Okay.
Yeah, so, because Eileen is the one, I mean, and now it's gonna be Eva.
It is in there.
It is in there. Okay,
Okay.
so that's, what, and we will not be considering, I'm just repeating myself really, but we will not be considering Newbury Town Day at all in future grants.
So,
Our cultural council, because it's gonna be under the auspices of the town, okay?
Right.
Make sense?
to clarify,
Yes,
we are no longer, as the Newburyport Cultural Council,
Newbury.
Newbury. Well, yeah, us. We won't be doing anything about town day funding,
Correct.
okay? And the monies that we have given have reverted back to us.
Correct.
And that the town has now taken over those directions, so we don't need to be involved at all.
Correct.
That's okay. All right, all right, perfect.
That said, as the cultural council.
Well,
is
we can go
my-
and volunteer
Exactly.
out separately, but as
Right.
our jurisdiction and what we need to discuss, that's no longer what we need to discuss.
Exactly. That is
Okay.
correct.
All right.
Okay?
All right.
However, we will support Newbury Town Day. However,
Absolutely.
it takes shape, what remains to be seen, but
And there's
Okay.
nobody in charge of the standing committee yet, besides the select board?
if there is, then.
There's
I
no
don't-
chair or
If
anything?
there is, then I don't know who it is.
Okay.
Okay.
It's all with the select board at all in the town.
Yep.
Perfect.
And this
Yeah.
committee has not been set up, it's going to be set up, is what you were saying, I think, right?
As of what I know, as of September 26th,
Yeah.
2023, which is when the select board meeting took place,
Okay.
that committee is to be formed. And if that committee has been formed, or there are anyone who is in charge of that committee, then I don't know who it is,
Okay.
because I have not been informed.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
It's likely they will be reaching out to you to get the benefit of yours and Heidi's wisdom.
Absolutely, yes. And Heidi and I were quite clear when we met with the select board members that we would be very happy to pass the torch and,
And be helpful and all those things, but we no longer have to take up
yeah,
some of our time with that.
yes.
All right, that's good.
All right? Any other questions on that one?
All right.
Survey update. I am thrilled, speaking of Newbury Town Day,
Yeah,
to see the survey results.
Yeah, so let me walk through them.
in living color.
Yes,
Yes.
in color.
Ain't it pretty?
Okay, so it turns out that there are only 50 usable responses, not, they weren't completely filled out by everybody. So some people didn't they didn't do the backside. So, but that's okay. I mean, I think the gist of what you're gonna see here is gonna give us, I think, what we need and will inform us, I think, as we move forward in these discussions tonight. So just in terms of the background demographics, you can see that last year was mostly Old Town because that's where we took the surveys. Now we have a pretty good representation from Byfield and Old Town.
From Byfield,
But Plum Island, we're still a little short. And you'll see that Plum Island is mostly older people.
Although last year, was there a difference because we actually conducted the survey on Plum Island or not?
We didn't really do it on Plum Island, remember? We did it at the Green.
No, last
The
year.
intent was to do
Oh.
Plum Fest, and
Oh,
because it
that's
didn't
right.
happen, therefore,
Yeah.
you would have gotten
But
probably
the
more
first
out of
time
that.
we
Yeah, I think this was reflective of the location and stuff, but it's more reflective, I think, of the population in our town, isn't it? I mean, Plum Island is not a third of the full population.
No.
Plum Island is actually a small percentage. So my guess is that this actually is reflective of our town, our town demographic. I mean, isn't it? I don't know, I mean,
I'm not so sure that's
But
exactly as.
Byfield and Old Town, my guess is probably has more residents than Plum Island. Would that be a fair statement?
I
I
don't know.
don't,
You'd have to do a survey, but with given the rental properties on Plum Island and the itinerant people who aren't there year round, we're probably gonna get a better quality of response
Yeah.
out off of Plum Island.
Yeah, let's, maybe,
May I interrupt just for a moment? Just,
Of course.
this just is for the sake of the recording, if anyone's watching this. Though, to clarify, in 2022, the survey was conducted at Plum Fest. In 2023, the survey was conducted during Newbury Town Day in the morning, thank you, Minnie and Bart, at the Byfield Community Arts Center during the pancake breakfast, and then later on at Spencer Pierce Little Farm during Newbury Town Day. So
Yeah.
that's
that's
why
not
we think-
entirely true, because they also did it in
On Plum Island
2022
in
on Newbury
2022.
Town Day
Yeah.
on the
Right,
green.
On the green.
I'm sorry, I meant to
Right.
clarify, I was really trying to clarify, 2023.
So-
That's why I asked if you remember if there was any difference in the, unfortunately, Plum Fest, a lot of people couldn't do the survey at all because they weren't from Newbury, but.
Right.
so I think we probably should start off by saying this is just simply descriptive of the people we surveyed. This is by no means statistically significant.
Right.
And I would argue it is a biased sample, but that's okay because what we're trying to do is test the interest of the people, and you're gonna find when we go through these that I think it's pretty clear where people.
Oh, okay. Given
Yeah.
the sample
Yeah.
that we got.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the sample that we, this time actually has people under 18,
Oh.
which I think is
Yes.
phenomenal, is not dominated by the 60 pluses. So that's be question number 2. You'll see that it's actually more than half of the people were under 60. So that actually is quite
Yes.
remarkable. I also thought it was interesting looking at the number of people in the households of how Byfield and Old Town are close to 3. Actually, Byfield's over that, Old Town is a little under, but Plum Island's 1.6. Again, this is totally reflective of what we would have expected. Then the next question is, does your household include school-aged children? And then are there seniors? And as you can see, school-aged children are in a third of the people that were responsive in Byfield and Old Town, nobody in Plum Island. And over 50, 58% Byfield, 47 in Old Town for seniors plus, and then all of the people we surveyed from Plum Island were over 60. Use of the town library is 78% overall. I thought that was interesting, but Plum Island was much lower, which is expected because Newburyport Library is probably
Of course.
closer.
Totally. That is the
But
library.
Old
we
Town,
use.
78% is, I never would have guessed that.
Yeah, well, again, this is who we surveyed perhaps.
Right.
So this, I did this, I ranked in order here, the largest number of votes to the least. These were the questions about what are your top 3 interests. So it did not say where do you want the money to go to, but what are the most things that you're interested in from a cultural perspective. Music was the top, but you'll see then, other than music, everything is relatively close all the way down to when you
Wow.
get into hands-on art. But then it's local regional history, outdoor cultural activities, children's programs, nature appreciation, cultural festivals. So I actually thought this is pretty reflective of sort of where we've been funding and nothing odd there. The next question was, do you attend local cultural activities? I broke it out by age, and then the 3 categories were never, occasionally 1 to 3 a year, frequently 3+ a year. And you'll see that, under 18, they don't tend not to use or go to our cultural activities or local ones. But then it's actually overall, over half of the people occasionally go to cultural events, which I think was great, and almost a third do it frequently. So there's a lot of attendance. Next question is how you find out about local events. So I think what we would have expected, social media top, word of mouth, then print flyers, local notices, newspapers, and then, email servers directly from artists and all that. Our local TV, cable TV is almost non-existent here. So I think 1 person. So how would you recommend the Newbury Cultural Council prioritize funding? And again, I did the top to the bottom, and community-wide gatherings was number 1.
Oh.
Yeah. That by 1/5 of all votes went to that. Nature, science, environmental, which is not spelled correctly, education programs was also pretty high.
Yeah.
Restoration of historic and restoration and historic preservation projects, which I thought was interesting. Education in schools, summer and vacation programs. So all of those, actually through education in schools, were above 10%. Then we get to lower numbers. Infrastructure for local venues, literary events, field trips, professional development, and publicly accessed exhibitions. So you can really see the community-wide gatherings, environmental education programs, nature science, restoration programs, and education.
I'm very surprised about the field trips for community members.
What about that?
I'm surprised that it
Yeah,
ranked relatively low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It did. So that's it.
Wow,
I could
thank
do-
you so much.
I could do additional crosstabs or whatever you guys want, if you want, if you have any questions about it, but I think it's pretty clear, I think, what people are saying.
One note.
Yeah, and it's consistent with the rankings of what people are interested in as well.
Exactly,
And it's pretty consistent with last year's as well, correct? Yeah.
very consistent.
Nature was number
we-
2 last year?
I don't remember the answer to
But I
I
remember
mean, to
the
be honest,
nature is
I'm
pretty
actually
high.
somewhat surprised that, you know, that's,
that.
I mean, that's very high. That's,
Or environmental
yeah,
programs.
environmental
thought-
programs, I think that's notable, actually.
I think it was pretty high last year, but I don't remember. But
Yeah.
last year, we did not have a lot of people as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
And it was a very different demographic.
Yep.
How many did we lose, Bart, with the people who didn't do the second page?
3 or
About-
4.
Oh, was that all?
Oh, boy, I thought we had more than that. But still, that's a lot. Also, I just wanted to note for the record here that the survey is on the town website. Bart and I brought that up to John Temple when we met with him about how we'd like the survey to be updated, but it's just one of those things where he just started his job,
I'm sorry, which survey?
this survey. Not 2023, one of the older surveys.
I took it
Last-
off. You
Oh, you
asked
did?
me to at the last
Oh,
meeting,
okay,
and
I'm
as
sorry.
I think
I
I sent
forgot.
out, yeah.
I forgot.
It's gone.
Sorry, okay,
And I took it off. yeah,
Great.
so.
You took it off last year.
2021.
Yeah,
The
yeah, yeah.
20
Actually,
I
it's
took that
2020.
off at your request after the last meeting.
You did a good, you did, yeah. it's
Yeah,
perfect.
thank you.
That's what we
Yeah.
said to do.
But he
Now, so the question that is, the corollary is do you want this one up or not? Or
Well,
is
what
it-
what
is
did
it-
John say?
John wasn't involved, that was my mistake.
I
Oh,
don't
I
think we
see.
should put it up unless we're willing to do a major advertising or communication about it, otherwise
I mean, it
random.
is
Nobody's gonna
intended
touch it.
for our use as we review grants.
Yeah,
Am I right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so.
Yeah, so I guess the
So
only,
do not post, okay.
the only question that I would have is it at all useful to get a broader cross-section of respondents if the survey were posted on the website? And the question probably is no, because we didn't have
You'd have to-
right?
Clarification, yeah, all right, I
Go-
think you'd
go
have to
ahead.
steer people.
Yeah.
What you said, we'd have to steer people to it. And from the state organization, we have to do a survey.
Mhm.
So we might as well just hold on to this survey because it's pretty broad and hits all the topics we want. And when we have to do another survey, which is once a year now,
Yeah,
then we'll pull it out and we'll spend some time and or money to advertise its existence.
I agree with that. I think what I proposed in an earlier meeting, and I would propose again, is that we actually use a different methodology for the survey, which would be a town-based, where everybody gets emailed a link to the survey, and see if we can get a response. I mean, even at a 1% or 2% response rate, you're gonna get more people.
More answers, yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and that way, you know, it's complete, and we'll just do it through some type of software, Constant Contact or whatever, SurveyMonkey probably, and it would be easy to do. That way, it'll be more randomized, you know, I think it's a better way to do a survey.
And we won't have to scramble to do, we don't actually have to scramble to make up the survey. We already have it there to go.
yeah.
That's right.
Didn't
So
we do that in
let's
the
just
last,
put it in our back pocket and wait.
Someone from the town would have to put it up.
Well, yes, but it'd just be a link to SurveyMonkey. That's all you have to do is do some links.
But we can't do that.
We could have them do it, or, I think we could figure it out. We could figure out where it exists. So you have the survey that would collect everybody's, because people would be linked into it, and then they would go into it and fill it out.
But we won't be able to distribute it. We don't have the list of people to.
Oh, no, we have to use the town.
To send it
Yeah,
out.
we
That's
have
what
to
I'm
use the
asking,
town.
yeah.
Yeah, no, because and if we can't use the town, and we can't send out an email, kind of a blanket email.
Then we can't do it.
Then we can't do it that way,
Right.
yeah.
But you would think we would be able to figure
You don't
out
think
something
so?
like that.
I think there was something sent out before. I've seen it before.
I thought when Amy was doing this that there was some
There was
sort
a
of
link on
broader-
the original one on our part of the town website, but it was not,
Oh,
you know,
It
sent
wasn't
to every,
distributed.
not, I mean, he's talking about a much more direct
To
you know,
all
approach
residents.
to all
Right.
residents. This was just, everybody is welcome to, find this link on the website and
Yeah.
respond, but it didn't necessarily
Well,
generate the numbers.
To be investigated.
To
Yes.
be investigated.
Yeah.
But for now, we'll keep
And this
this.
is for next year, though, to be
Oh, yeah.
investigated
Yeah.
for,
Yes, exactly.
I
For
just am
fiscal year
reaching
24.
into the recesses of my memory because I know we've talked about this at length. But yet, everybody remember, I was off the council for a year,
Right.
so I don't retain everything.
Amesbury or I think Newbury, but I know that Amesbury does do a Survey Monkey survey as part of their survey. Okay, so, and they also have hard paper surveys at all their events that they do. So, but they have a wider variety of events. But they do have a link. So technology marches on and we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. All right, let's.
All right. Now, shall we, so no further discussion on that? Shall we skip over the review of applications and talk about recruitment of new council members and review? Yeah, that's, I propose that we swap those.
Do the
two items.
applications
Do you
at the
agree?
end.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, okay. So, recruitment of new council members and review of current member terms. Now, I am, whether I like it or not, chair for 3 years. So this is year one for me as chair. I'm just speaking for myself. And now, your term is up when?
The end of this,
June.
right, correct.
Okay. And Jean?
end of January,
That's what I thought.
2024,
That's what I
January 31st.
thought. Okay.
Oh, that's, you started in mid-year.
I did,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so I have you for 6/30/24. I have you for 1/31/24, and Margaret?
6/30/24.
6/30.
Yeah, Margaret and I are on the
Same
same,
time, so
Yeah.
we've done our 2-3 years.
All
yes.
right, and so
we
are you terming out, actually?
We have, we
Yes.
both have to
You're
turn
turning
We
out.
out.
have to.
You are, okay.
Yeah, as am I.
Was I April or June? Oh, I thought you just,
I think everybody except me was June.
was
based on
June.
the
I
last time
thought you
looked
said
at it.
April, that's why.
Yeah.
So you're probably 6/30 as well?
I think so, yes.
24?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
And it's your second term too.
No, this is my first.
This is your first?
And Bart?
I'm on my second, and I think I term out, is it 25 maybe?
I don't know, I can check online,
Yeah.
but I just wanted to discuss it.
You're on your second term? Oh, I didn't realize that.
All right, so.
He's a
question-
veteran.
All right, so I can find that out, but I wanted to, it's on the agenda because we wanted to talk about, really about recruitment. Because, so I can tell you that I have been attempting to recruit, before, when you guys were fiddling around with the Excel, we were talking about how we pretty much concluded that the best way to recruit members is word of mouth and personal, because, invitations, because the survey, it turned out nothing, which is like how it is in life anyway. So I've tried myself to talk to people I know who I thought would be likely candidates and have come up short. I have a couple of people I'm thinking about asking, but I wanted to have this meeting first. I have no idea if those people might be interested or not. So I wondered if any of you have possible candidates that whom you might reach out to, or we need some sort of a strategy. So not necessarily for discussion, we're not throwing names on the table, I'm just saying that we need to all, I think collectively, do what we can do now. Alicia Greco, who's, as we all know, the chair of the select board, she considers it her responsibility to help with recruitment.
Okay.
Which is great, except that I truly believe that we're the best people to do it because we're on the council. So I'm just pretty much asking everybody to think about it, and we can bring this up at our next meeting. But especially with Jean off at the end of January, we need to get
Does
Right,
she, does Alicia Greco currently know that we are in bad need of recruiting and getting some new, she
Yes,
is?
yes, she is.
Yeah,
And a lot of times she watches these recordings, by the way.
Okay,
Right.
good.
I do believe, at least that was the semi-tradition, was that those who were leaving after their 2 stints often participated in seeking out their replacement. And that's how it occurred in my case, that I was recruited by somebody on the committee to take their place. And that I think the decent thing to do is that if you are leaving, if there are three of us, we might at least explore who in our peer groups might be willing to help out. Okay, so that's, I think, a reasonable thing. So, I mean, that's all I just remember that was kind of the old tradition, so who knows? We may, we may lose some friends asking around, but.
You know, I'll tell you, I remember distinctly when I called you, Bart, and I called you, Jean, and I remember what I said, and what I said was that I considered it an honor to be on the Newbury Cultural Council. We make important decisions about how, well, look what we're doing. And it's an appointed, right, it's an appointed position, and we take it seriously, but it's not a great investment of time. It's a good group of people, we're all committed, and so to me, that's a sales pitch. Right? And you guys all bought it.
Yes, but anyways, I would just say that as we go towards the last few months of this, we should, those of us leaving, should at least put our minds to, and at least be able to put some names forward and help out. That's the least we can do, okay?
You can, yeah. And you know, who is a friend or a family member or an acquaintance who might like to. One of the things that Alicia did, actually, she and I did this a couple of years ago, when there was nobody to run a chair, actually went through past lists, and I remember that Alicia said, oh, how about Michael Updike? And I said, don't go there. I think very, very highly of him, but I knew when he does not want to be on the Cultural Council anymore. Right. So anyway, but that's the other thing that I'll do. I'll go through the list of past members, because a lot of those people still live in town. They turned out. They might, but it would be really good to get some new people, actually, who haven't done it before. And it's a lot easier now with the Smart Simple application from the Mass Cultural Council than it used to be in the past. Right? A lot easier.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right, we're done with that one? And so we're going to skip down to additional business as needed. Additional business as needed? Nothing? Okay.
Do you want to set 2024 meetings before we go back to the grants?
Sure.
Because we don't have a meeting set.
Nope.
Moving ahead.
Right.
So quarterly, since my term ends January 31st, if you want me to be at the next meeting, then we continue the role of secretary. It needs to be January. If you don't care, February works.
Let's do something in January. I propose maybe mid-month, Monday. How's the 22nd? The week before is Martin Luther King Day.
Yeah, that would be a good one to avoid.
Yeah, so the 22nd. How's the 22nd at 5:30 sound?
That sounds good.
You have my phone, sir.
I do have your phone.
I don't think I'm gonna be here.
That's
so
okay,
I'm
that's
not
okay.
sure.
I don't know. What's that? Let me write it down though. It's January 22nd? You said I don't think I have anything booked out that far in advance on a Monday.
Are you back the 29th?
I don't have it here on the calendar.
Minnie's gone the 22nd, she thinks.
Oh, I messed up.
Next week.
The 29th would be another.
The 29th is more likely.
Okay.
So do 29th.
29th?
Okay. 2 days. Counting down. Jean's gonna be counting down.
Hey,
On the Monday, it's on a
I'm
Monday, right?
still in term there. They won't take my password away.
Okay.
So the 29th?
29th, January
Okay,
29th?
Lloyd?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm in. All right,
So
I
we can-
second it.
We can sneak Jean in at the last minute.
Okay, or the, say,
48
somebody-
hours.
You will have to elect a new secretary.
Indeed, we
Oh.
will.
Right.
So I think we had the next one was, did we have May meeting? I think we had a May meeting last year.
We did.
Quarterly would technically be more like April, but April or May. When do you want to set dates for the whole year?
I think that would be a good idea.
We usually push till May because April has a school vacation. Am I
Okay.
correct?
If you guys want to pick the Monday at 5:30 that makes the most sense in May, probably not Memorial Day.
So that would be the 13th or the 20th? Must try the 13th.
Bart is running the Wi-Fi off my phone, so I can't, I don't have access to my calendar.
Okay.
Can I get into my calendar while you're running the
I
Wi-Fi?
think so.
Probably.
I wouldn't move it too far, that's the only thing I would do.
Okay, I'll come to you.
That's an
then.
extra seat there.
Okay.
There's an extra seat.
13th or 20th, going once or twice?
Let's do the 13th, how's that?
All right. 13th it is at the moment, as long as Robin
Okay.
agrees.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Okay. Also at 5:30.
And that could very well be our last meeting.
That's
Yes, it will be.
Oh, the May meeting.
Yeah, the May
Yes.
meeting will be
It'll be
the
the last.
So we'll drag some people in.
We'll have to.
We'll have some people here jumping in.
That are drug in.
No, we will invite cordially. Well,
Are you
better
gonna
we find
promise-
new people. I
You
bet
gonna
we'll find
promise
some.
Are you gonna promise the drinks?
I will make sure that I do my due diligence. I actually see a lot of people from the town in my studios.
Oh, good. Okay,
Right,
good.
so
Hey,
I have some,
You're in a prime spot.
I do see people who
Yes.
I'll try hard.
Okay, why don't you work on trying for 2?
Yeah. Or 3?
Or 3 while you're at it.
Why not?
Or 4, Big Bowen.
We'll see how it works.
September 16th?
13.
No, May
September.
3rd.
May
No,
13th.
I got it, now I have my calendar.
Oh, that's
May
okay.
13th,
May 13th
Yes,
is what you
13th.
want, okay.
that's what
Yes.
we're doing.
September 16th is what you're proposing for
Yes.
September?
Yep.
Okay.
That work?
September.
September,
You
we're on
don't
to
need to worry
September,
about
guys.
it.
Are you
because will be-
kidding?
You're not gonna be a member anymore.
Well, that's right, we
Are
don't have
you-
anybody here.
well,
So-
I don't know
just
yet.
you and I don't know.
So she might be.
Why don't you not take care of this?
And
And then,
what was the May date? The 13th?
Let's go on to do what we're here for.
Yeah, I
And
think,
then we're
yeah,
going
let's,
to,
I think we're done with the
Yeah,
dates
because we still
because
have all these-
we,
we
we're
have
gonna have new
20
members, things are gonna change.
Yep.
Right.
I can
propose
put,
we-
however, one advantage is I can put these onto the town calendar if I know them. So through September, we're okay?
I think that, because
Okay.
then we're gonna have that voting meeting.
And voting meeting can be
Yeah.
set later.
And what date did you put for September?
16th is what
Yeah, it's-
Robin
it's-
proposed.
Pe-
So
pe-
I will post,
penciling it in.
I will put January 29th, May 13th, and September 16th onto the town calendar.
Thank
All
you.
at 5:30.
Okay. Sounds good.
Mhm.
All right, now we are getting to the heart of our voting meeting, doing pretty well on time. We've done this in an hour in the past.
Yeah, we can do this.
Last
I
year we were
wanted
done
to-
by 7 o'clock, so I don't know.
I wanted to mention a couple of things. I trust you all got my email about I hope it was helpful, with the, you didn't, having to do with some mistakes and dates. But one of the things that I observed, perusing the MCC guidelines, is that a local cultural councils, and I'm just putting this on the table, may at their discretion decide that they're going to prioritize funding, for instance, new applications and new activities rather than the perennial. The perennial. There are some organizations that we have funded every single year since I've been on this council, including the year I wasn't on this council. So it's just, I'm not saying that we should, I'm just saying something to think about, because we have some new applicants this year and some new activities that we could, let's help for instance, let's help this activity get off the ground. And maybe we should think about, the people won't be happy because they're so used to getting funding from us, but maybe we want to.
But a lot of them
Rethink
are
that.
getting funding from other
And
LCCs.
Correct.
Also, we could
Huge
consider
numbers of them.
reducing their grant, but not
We could do
cutting
that
them
too.
out completely.
That's right.
Yeah, and I can think of
Yes.
some candidates, and some of these candidates personally are near and dear to my heart, but that's irrelevant. So anyway, and I noticed that the MCC kind of encourages that. to think creatively about finding.
I think we should think creatively about all of them, but I don't think necessarily that I would want to dismiss how valuable a lot of the ongoing, you
Yeah.
know,
No argument there?
you know, organizations, and we have organizations here that are celebrating 20th, 25th, you know,
Yeah, that's
anniversaries,
Mhm.
or others upcoming in their discussion, and I think that's notable and laudable, and, you know, takes a great deal of organization to keep that running year after year as well.
No argument from my end. Anyway, I just wanted to throw that on the table.
One of the things I wanted to note, I had noted also, I think, in an email when I sent out the agenda, that the duplicate was from theater in the, it was for the open sculpture at Maudsley. And it appeared to me that the duplicate was basically intended for Salisbury, and not knowing how MCC assembles their panel books, I was curious about whether or not Salisbury even knows that they should be considering continuing to support the sculpture work at Maudsley. And I don't really know beyond either if you know somebody at Salisbury Cultural Council and or somebody at MCC. It seems to me it should be flagged, just so they don't inadvertently, you know, lose out in consideration in Salisbury just because we ended up with their proposal.
Is my understanding from reading that email, that they were aware of the situation. So, the
Who was
people
aware?
who submitted it, the people from Maudsley, the sculpture from Maudsley.
Which email?
Oh, there was an email, they said, we inadvertently sent a second application to you.
Oh, that it came to
That,
the
we got an
Gmail?
email on that, I'm sorry if I did, I thought I
Oh,
forwarded it to
no,
everybody.
no, I didn't know that.
No, you did.
Yeah.
You did.
So, okay, so they were aware of the
Okay,
situation.
okay.
So I would not worry.
Okay,
Because I'm
that's
sure
great,
they
that's
submitted.
good.
So I just automatically took it out.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
I'm sure they submitted it.
Oh, that's good news, I just didn't, it just seemed like something to
No,
check.
if they had not made us aware of that, and it was an error they were unaware of, that would have been problematic. And I agree with you, we should reach out to them. Okay.
That's good news. Great.
Shall we begin?
Starting from the top. We have local lounge at the Byfield Community Arts Center.
Local lounge.
Monthly.
So the Byfield Community Arts Center, in my judgment, is really trying to take a leadership role in trying to really improve the cultural scene, the music scene. They're really stepping up to be a space for, as you know, some other things here. And I feel I would want to support them in their
I
efforts.
think this falls right in that category you were just talking about, Rob.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's fun
I
to
agree.
do.
Yeah, I
Music.
agree.
Yeah, and they
Right.
haven't asked for anything, I made a note, 2021, so they didn't ask.
In 2021, they asked for money for a soundboard.
Right, and then that was it, and they've not requested anything
There's
since.
a new executive director,
Yeah,
which
it's
has a lot
new.
to do with it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, they're really trying to be resurgent here
Yeah.
and support our community.
I mean, depending on how you look at it, we only have 3 in-town proposals, and this is one of them.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
And, you know, that seems important to me to make sure that we are,
Yeah.
you know, making that support available.
On
They
the
did,
to our town.
you talked about the overlap period, the 18 months. You didn't say when it began, but they did
July
start
1,
this past July.
2023.
Great, because they have a October 27th date in their proposal, and then recurring monthly going forward. So it sounds
Right.
like it's covered.
Yes.
Okay.
I
That's great.
propose we put
I think
a
that-
green light on this one, and
Yep.
then we'll come back for a final vote, and then we'll move to the next one.
Yep.
All right,
Absolutely.
Agree.
next one.
Contamus is performing Annalise, which actually the Newburyport Choral Society performed a few years ago. And That's, I believe January 21st, so they're asking for $300.
I think in the light of the world, that's an important one to.
I totally agree with that.
Okay, so 300.
I mean, this is another one, to your point though, that it's perennial, but it's always a new program.
Totally.
And they don't ask for a lot,
Right.
and
It's usually well attended.
very well attended.
Yeah, and actually, Contamus has only been applying for the past maybe 3 years.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
no,
3 years, I think.
Totally agree.
So I propose we green light this one and,
Mhm.
all right.
And then September 1st, 2024, we have the Newburyport Lantern Festival. They're asking for $300.
What are they asking for?
This is one that,
300.
yeah, for 300.
300, yeah.
Yeah, this is one that, again, has been year after year, but they do quite an effort. I must say that the documentation they provide and the advertisement and all that is quite good.
Yeah, I don't think they have. Have they year after year?
I think we've had them for at least 2 years.
This is 2
Yeah.
years.
At least 2 years, I don't know,
Like some
maybe
of the
3, I'm not quite sure, but
long-going
they were
ones.
there last year.
Yeah, and
so.
it,
Yep.
and it sounds like it was
Yeah.
quite successful.
And it's a very popular
And
event.
it's- Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Just a quick clarification, did we ever have a final number that we are giving away?
Yeah, it's at
Giving-
the
Oh.
top here, if you see it up here.
Oh, I see it.
It's right here.
It's small.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to-
Actually,
Oh, okay.
I can
Yeah.
make this whole thing bigger if you'd like.
Would that be possible? There you go, see, there you go, all right.
Is that
Oh.
better?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
go back
so-
over there.
Okay.
The number is,
$6,868.
all right,
And what I put here and remaining is, I'm taking these amounts out, so we're now down to about 6,000.
right. And do you know what our total grant, what they were asking for in total?
10,900.
10,450 right here.
Oh,
You got,
there
I
it
had
is.
10,900.
Yeah, I may have put it in, oh, I might have taken the
Taking
four.
out the 700?
Okay.
No, I didn't have that in.
Well, let me just go through, I might have just put it in, 300, 500.
Just, and I only ask
Here's the
because my
mistake.
eyes,
Yeah.
my eyes, I can't read it quite as clearly, and I wanted to clarify that, what I was seeing. So we are gonna have some no's tonight.
And
Yes,
some adjustments.
Right.
Yeah, we're
Well,
we'll
we-
have to.
Yeah. I just-
reductions are possible.
Okay.
So, allotting 300 for that?
Yeah,
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Fourth Gingerbread
I missed
Festival,
it.
which is a new initiative this year. This is one of the ones that I was referring to in my email last night. This event is next month, but the 18-month window is July 1st through 2023 through December 31st, 2024. So this would fall within that window. This is one of the ones I was referring to.
I thought it was a really full proposal. It was quite nice to read it. They answered everything very fully. So my idea would be not a total of 500, but
yeah, I
Some
was
funding.
looking at a reduction on this one, I think in part because it seemed like they had a lot of the fundraising already accomplished.
Get them well.
And, yeah,
Mm.
and that it was such a nearby date.
So I propose we put a maybe on this and then a reduction
Like 300 again.
or 250.
Yeah.
Give them half, and we'll come back to it after we go through the rest.
Okay, so I apologize, I did make an error, so actually, make sure I didn't get this wrong, I did it pretty quickly here. So this we were going to accept, right, that was 300, and this one is,
Is,
we'll hold on it.
it's
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You could put a placeholder
Yeah.
of
Yeah, just hold.
300 or something.
Yeah, let's do that.
See what we have
A placeholder?
remaining.
No, I'm agreeing.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'll put those in red.
Okay.
Okay, Indigenous Peoples' Day event, and again, this is one of the ones I was referring to in my email. She just made a mistake. So this event actually is October 7th, 2024.
She actually had
Oh.
2024 in the narrative, just not on the front page. So she had both,
Right.
but,
Right.
yeah.
Actually,
Does that
she made
have
a
to be
mistake on her
modified,
flyer.
or is that
No,
just?
no.
That's okay.
She also made a mistake on her fly. But that
I think
is,
that flyer was from last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, I
It's
think it
an
was.
example of last
no,
year's
she actually,
flyer.
it actually says October 7th. It was actually, whatever, anyway, it was a mistake. So, so that, she's asking for, this is, anyway, they're asking for $400.
It seems like a wonderful.
The event has
Event.
grown dramatically.
Yeah,
And
and
it
fast.
seems like
And fast.
they have
Very
never
fast.
asked for money from us before.
Well, they
it
have,
seems.
but we've
Have they?
always denied them. Yeah, we did.
Really?
We-
Last proposal was 2020,
Oh.
and we
Before my
denied
time.
Imagine Studios. And there've been a couple more, further back, and we've not funded
For the same,
them.
not for this
Not
event.
funded, but through Imagine Studios.
Right.
So, Imagine Studios has not always, but has sent us proposals, and for some reason we denied them for whatever, why we did, so.
I think it's also our only proposal really from Amesbury, or a group based in
Mhm.
Amesbury.
But
And it's
it takes
free.
place in Newburyport though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
Right, on the waterfront, and it's free, which is nice, it's
Yeah.
free admission.
I think it would be a good one to support,
Should we
You know.
hold the amount?
Maybe.
but should the amount be a little less, or,
Well-
I mean, we're giving a lot of out-of-town ongoing entities 300,
And she's
We could
also-
keep that consistent.
I
if we
agree
wanted
with
to.
that.
Yeah.
So what we could do
There's
is
13 other LLCs.
put a hold at half and
At
see
half.
where we.
Yeah.
See whether we can
That
bump
sounds
it back
good.
up to, yeah.
Yep, no, that sounds good.
I also think, however, it's a unique event and would be well worth supporting.
Number 6 is I Am, Scott Maloney, talking about his near-death experience, and he speaks widely. He speaks widely.
I had some trouble with this one, because he hadn't really connected with any local support. He seemed to want to speak to adults, and yet it seemed to be aimed more at youth, and yet he wanted to schedule it in July at a high school. And I just,
Right, it
it
said
just
library or
didn't
high
sort of jive for
He
me.
didn't have a secure commitment to a place was what I was concerned about. Just was what we've said in the past is when someone says it's up to us to determine, or it's kind of loose as to whether they're going to give their presentation or whatever it is. And he said library or high school, July 2024.
And he lives in Plainville, which is a far distance from here, so not that makes it a bad thing. I think it would be a very worthy program.
Just
But
would like to know
it was
where
somewhat,
it'd be.
his proposal was somewhat amorphous.
Yeah,
I support what you all just said. I said, worthy message, worthy discussion, but he hadn't identified his target audience,
Right.
nor had he taken any steps. And this was sort of probably a similar proposal he throws out to all the LCCs around the state.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
And see what he comes up with.
yeah.
When we hit logistical bumps like this, we've usually, so let's put that one on
So I
back
think,
burner.
so we can reject that one, and just so we know, it's, no local contact,
Venue.
and
Uncertain venue.
Uncertain
yeah,
venue.
uncertain.
I like that, uncertain venue,
And really time.
and timing too.
and
Yeah.
questionable target audience.
I would say uncertain, not questionable.
Question of target
Speak.
audience.
Yeah.
What's that?
All right?
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Number 7 is Georgetown Theater Workshop, performing at the BCAC in March and May 2024. I would have loved to have gone to the performance of Our Town that Mary Liz invited us to. You guys all got that email from Bart? But I couldn't make it, but it just had a performance of Our Town at the BCAC. And she reached out to us and would have comped any of us to go to it. So this is, to me, this is a no-brainer.
But this is,
Except they-
they're
they-
in Georgetown as well, though.
No, they're performing
No.
at the BC, at the
They're
Byfield
Byfield.
So
Center.
they're,
But they've already funded 2 or 3 shows and one is already done. One
But
had a
they're-
run that just
they're-
finished yesterday.
They're applying for next week, they're applying for next year.
And it sounded like they were trying.
No, the dates are
They
March.
only are trying to, yeah, it goes through May 2024.
There are 2 more performances, one in March
Right.
and one in May.
And they've
these are
already funded.
both at, because
They're-
their budget shows, splitting the budget, the fee is to rent at BCAC, and then the fee is to rent at, I think it's the Congregational Church
It's
in
congregational, but
Georgetown.
that's for practice.
That's for rehearsals.
They
That's
say for
for
rehearsal.
rehearsal.
Yeah.
So their productions are here in Byfield.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, that's where it was very confusing to me reading
And I
through
think,
this.
people putting on theater, that we have to encourage that.
Yeah.
I think that's
No,
so
that's-
So
important.
it's a new
fine.
theater troupe.
The new theater troupe.
Actually, no, they said they've been around for 25 years.
Oh,
I
really?
think.
Is it-
Yeah.
Is it new here, though?
It's not,
That
it may
they're
not have ever been
production.
at Byfield, but
Right.
apparently
Oh,
this
I
group
misread
has,
that.
has existed.
Mhm.
At least I'm pretty sure I had a note to that effect.
I think that
People love theater.
the Byfield, you know, the new place there, now that it has things going on there, people are now going to be using it as a resource for music, plays, and other things.
And that's all great. I mean, I
Right.
think, given that they had 2 out of 3 already funded, I felt like, asking for 1,000 was a lot, and I was more willing to sort of come in at a third of it, to, at
I'm
300 again.
surprised too, the spring, I mean, I made a note, spring productions targeted to adult audiences from the Georgetown area. So that's what I also didn't understand. If the performances are taking place.
I think I might be able to offer some.
Okay,
What people do when they do these grants is they cut and paste. And so
That's what
it might have been, you have to, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's probably just came from the Georgetown application, but
Uh.
it's in Byfield. And we are in the
Okay.
Georgetown general area. So
No, yeah.
I hope that it is, we have to clarify.
Actually, I want to clarify too, I have a note that they are a 50-year-old
Oh, really?
organization, is what they said.
15?
50,
5-0.
in their proposal, that's what they said.
So did they say where they've been performing in the past?
No?
I would just go back though to the survey. The number one thing was community-wide gatherings, festivals, concerts, and plays.
There you go.
Really, I think from that perspective, it's very important. I also feel that $1,000 is high.
I agree with that,
and-
it's too high.
What you mentioned, it said 1,
Two of their plays for the coming season are already fully funded. They're just looking for additional monies to keep things rolling.
let's give them a
So,
third.
I
Do
was
the
thinking
whole-
300 or,
Okay, a hold and do a third.
Yeah, I mean,
300,
the same thing we've been doing with the others,
Right.
see if we
So
can.
maybe,
And 300. Let's kind of see where we end up.
I mean, especially since it is using the Byfield Center.
Number 8, library passes to Strawberry Bank and the House of Seven Gables. And I believe that these passes are for whomever says.
right,
The library.
Strawberry Bank is free and House of Seven Gables is half price, admission wise.
And again, it's one of,
It's our town.
one of our direct Newbury applicants, I would want
Yeah.
to support the library.
I used
Yeah.
ones to this, was it Stuart Gardner Museum? I mean, they're great.
Yeah.
This is for the local community. This is like Byfield, or not Byfield.
This
This
is our town.
my identity,
This is-
Byfield.
Yeah,
Newbury.
Yeah.
yeah. No,
I mean,
We.
despite the sort of low response for field trips for community members in the survey to museums, it's still got 9 votes, and I do think
Well, I
the
know-
library is,
I
trying
know as
to
a
let
user
people
of
know
those
about it.
passes that they're often don't have any left, so that's a good sign that they're being
That's good.
well
Yeah.
used.
So I think that should be fun.
Is that true? I didn't know.
It's not a lot of money either.
No. Well,
Yeah, how much is that one?
450.
I think it should be funded fully.
I agree on that. It's our library.
It's the library.
Yeah.
it's the library.
It's the library.
Number 9, Newbury Chamber Music Summer Festival. And my notes here say they're doing programs in partnership with Theater in the Open. There's one on Birds of the Great March, Community Open Rehearsal. And so this is a new report, but I noticed too in their application, they said they're hoping to have community open rehearsals and panels and possibly concerts in the community, in other words, not in Newburyport.
Right, and I know one of the places they talked about doing it was Joppa Flats or at the Refuge Visitor Center as well.
So that's July and August of 2024.
And no, even though we have funded these, it's not, they don't ask for a lot of money,
No.
you know, it's $300.
I think 300 is
It's very
a very
fair.
good ask.
Mhm.
We did not fund them for years. Somebody on the council didn't like them or something.
Oh.
And then about 3 or 4 years ago, we started, said,
Mhm.
you know, what's up with that? We started
Yeah.
to fund them, and now we've been funding them regularly.
Okay.
I think we should.
So,
I agree.
I agree.
Everybody, cool.
Alrighty, number 10, Newbury Choral Society Spring Concert, May 2024. Resilience is the theme, and this, of course, is one we have perennially funded, the Newburyport Choral Society.
What about it?
We have perennially funded them. And we have funded the Newburyport Choral Society as long as I have been on or off the Newbury Cultural Council.
Yeah, that's
For a long
not a
time.
large amount either.
No, it's not.
No.
No, I
It
think-
has participation from audiences as well as singers from our town, and,
That's right.
I would fund it.
yes?
It's a yes.
You agree?
I said yes.
It's- It's music,
300 again.
right?
300
And it's music.
To Bart's
300's
point,
the magic
it's
number.
music. All right, number 11 is Newburyport Documentary Film Festival. Again, as we all know, we funded that. Worthy Festival, that's next September.
But we've never funded them fully,
I think you're right. Mark.
right?
You're
Yeah,
right.
I got down
I-
300
I
out
have-
of 500.
And I think I would argue for that again. I mean, to some extent, it's almost just consistency with a lot of the organizations that are out of town. And, you know, Newburyport is just sort of trying to, you know, support them and yet, you know, reflect sort of some kind of parity amongst them as well.
All right. So do,
Suggestions, 300?
Maybe
300.
half,
Yeah.
300.
Okay.
Theater performance.
And the next one is Theater in the Open, Classic Stories in the Open. Geared for children, it's the family-friendly theater performance next June, $600.
Oh.
I would fund that in full because it's one of our few truly aimed at young people.
Wait, didn't you just say theater for the open? What?
Theater in the Open.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where is, that's not this.
It's
called Onstage
that's 12.
Inc.
It's
This is it right
it's number
here,
12.
On staging. right,
On
right,
Stage
sorry.
Inc. is their
Yeah.
incorporated name.
I'm sorry,
Well, we just voted on that, did we not?
No,
No,
I'm
Oh.
sorry, I missed one here. Again.
no,
this
no
is-
worries, Bart, you're doing it,
No,
you're
I-
doing
I
it
typed
real
this
time.
very quickly. Just a second here.
Completely missed that.
Okay, I'm
Okay.
gonna see where I am here. Library. Town library. That's fine too, right?
Keep it going. Constable.
Very Choral Society. Okay.
There you go.
Okay, that's what it is. Over here is
That's a documentary film festival.
6, 9, 4.
We didn't vote on the documentary film festival yet, did we?
Yeah,
How did I
we
miss
did.
that?
Yeah.
Yep, 300.
300.
It went by fast, Minnie.
It must have.
It did. You know those,
That's what this one.
like falling
cinema
asleep.
verite, in a flash.
It's not a whole
So it's
vote.
an
I thought
accept,
it's
an accept.
It's
Yeah.
an accept,
That's
but
an
for
accept.
half the amount, 300.
Yeah.
So
The
now,
okay.
So you're doing green with any of the that are modified, accepted but
Okay.
modified?
I'm doing
red.
red where it's just different.
change from
It's
the
either a
ask,
yeah.
whole or it's a different amount,
Yeah,
just for our purposes. So I apologize, so now we're down to classics.
number 12, yes?
Yeah.
Okay,
Um,
great.
so this is
Classics. Okay.
theater and the open them.
Yep.
Okay.
And Jean suggested that we fully fund this one for
I
600.
agree with that.
You
It's
good?
all
We
free
gave them
admission,
300, right?
right?
Oh,
Free
yes, it's free
admission.
admission.
Oh, we got
Free
them.
admission.
Okay, I got those two
It's
mixed up.
aimed at young children, which I think is unusual in our proposals.
You know what is
Mostly, yeah.
conspicuously missing here is the Revolutionary for the 5th graders, Revolutionary War
I noticed
reenactment for the
that,
5th
yeah.
graders.
Why, we've done that for quite a few years.
As
and
long
it's
as I
just-
can remember, it
yeah.
didn't,
I noticed
I
that
wonder
wasn't
why.
there.
Did you?
either.
Mm.
God.
Okay, so, we ready?
Hold on, let Bart catch up.
This is what retirement does to you. You lose your Excel skills. Okay.
Okay.
There we go.
But
Now we're to Maudsley.
Now we're at outdoor sculpture, $400.
So last
For
year,
next
the last
September.
couple of years, they were asking for $350. The only thing that really bothered me about that this year, and I go every year, I really enjoy this, and I think I mentioned it to you, Robin, they did not give us any credit for funding, helping to fund. They gave the Newburyport Cultural Council, they gave the Amesbury Cultural Council, and there wasn't anything to, and we funded them year after year after year after year after year.
just an oversight.
Oh, we can show them. But it is a worthy thing.
Look at that.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
absolutely, and it gets
Yeah.
so many
You
people.
know what they,
Right,
yeah,
I
you know
know.
what they should do?
You know, who
They-
both
Let's not be
expect it
bad.
and don't expect it.
We'll send it along a note
I
with
think
them.
it was an
Put us
oversight.
in your publication.
I would
Okay.
just
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
little
Oh,
note
yeah.
to
Yeah,
say,
they could
could
work
you
with
course.
What, you know what they could
include
do,
us?
actually, is
Because it's
they,
a nice
what a lot
chunk
of
of
groups
money.
do, and what a lot of groups do, is they'll just put an MCC logo on it.
And
Put
that
an
would be
empty-
fine too.
And, of course,
Yeah.
and then list the local cultural councils in text, because there's not room for all the logos. My guess is they were trying to fit those 2 logos on there, and they just neglected the other ones. But I'm just
a
guessing,
little-
but like
little
whatever.
issue with that, so
Yeah,
because it's
yeah.
nice.
So,
that
but
we
it's easy enough to
funded
mention it
them
to,
fully,
and
I
the
expect-
acceptance.
It's an oversight,
Yeah, I'm sure it's an oversight.
Yeah.
but maybe
easy.
just a little note to
Yeah. We can do that.
acknowledge that we've been nice supporters of
They
the
also
order.
noted that it was their 25th year
Oh,
upcoming.
great.
Right, that's right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, 400, placeholder for 400 for that, for
Yeah.
outdoor sculpture. Everybody, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
We're not, oh, that's a duplicate, okay.
Okay, we are up to Maker's Market at Pentucket. So this is West Newbury, and this is one of the ones I was referring to in my email last
March
night.
Sunday.
This takes place on December 2nd, 2023. So it's within the window of our 2024 grants. That's the one I mentioned to you last
So
week.
like in
Wendy.
2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yeah, right.
this one I
250.
struggled with.
Yeah, I do too.
I was like, so what we're
I
doing is
know.
we're helping them fund, you know, the opportunity to have other people come in. And you always want that, but why would we be funding them?
Mhm. Plus, it did say proceeds to the arts in the Pentucket region,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I mean, in
we're
part
sure
because of
with
what it
that.
was supporting. I think I also sort of read it a couple of times just to try to get the
Yeah,
gist. In part because it is supporting the Fine Arts Foundation, and it's really, I think, the only time I've seen an application from West Newbury.
Mhm.
You know, and it wasn't asking for a lot, you know. I was leaning towards accepting it, but I also understand, you know,
it was the
sort of trying to
location.
think it through and
Yeah,
what's going
I
on
had to
here.
think it through, but the location was also the other.
Oh, it's in
Can we put this one
Groveland,
on
yeah.
hold
It's an
and come
easy
back
pick.
to it
It's
after
in
we see what our
December.
funding
So
is at
it's
the
this-
end?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's,
we
I
could
think
put it
it's,
on hold.
Yeah, I'm
We
gonna
can
put
hold
this
it.
on hold, and right now I'll
Like
put
just a
0, but
blank,
we'll
yeah.
see.
okay.
We'll see what we end up with.
Okay, ready to move on? Number 16, Afternoon of Brass number 3, which takes place in Boston.
Yeah.
Worcester.
But, you know,
That was easy?
that was an easy one.
55.
You agree?
couldn't even
I agree
know why
completely.
would they have, they'd probably just.
Who knows?
They
blanket
applied to
application.
329 local
Yeah,
councils.
that
I wouldn't doubt it.
That is
What you use
not even
interns
in
for.
not even in our county. Now we have number 17.
Is that the firehouse?
Hmm?
No, 17, no, it's at the Actors Studio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which is moved to Salisbury,
Salisbury.
actually. Was down at the
Yes.
January, but now,
Yeah.
So, this one takes place in April next year, discussion?
Mhm. They didn't give any price.
I'm sorry,
they-
which one were you?
For the tickets.
17.
They just said it would be a low cost, but there would be free tickets for youth, but I don't know what the
So it's
definition
charitable?
of youth is,
I-
but.
This
It
is,
it seems like such an important message right now.
Yeah.
That absolutely is
That's
timely.
exactly what I was
This is on
responding
Anna
to.
Spulovitz.
What's that?
Anna Spulovitz, I believe.
Oh, yeah, it's on the
Yeah,
small
for,
ones, yeah.
uh,
No, absolutely, I
yeah.
think.
And
um,
$300,
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
free tickets.
It's in our price range.
It's
Yeah.
in our price range.
I think that was a.
Well, we'll see.
Okay, 18, Her Story, a month-long celebration, the Actors Studio of Newburyport, $700. Woo! That takes place in March. I know we funded that last year, but I don't believe that amount.
We funded it last year?
Yep.
I thought,
Right, Margaret?
I don't remember doing that.
Yes, we did fund it last year.
No, I had down 2020.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, well,
I
yeah,
don't
okay, but I knew
remember
we had it in
doing
the
that.
past.
2020.
I knew we had it in the
I
past.
had it last year.
This is last year's right
Was
here.
it last year?
I thought they
I don't
were,
think so.
I thought it was
Last
odd
year.
that they were asking for 700 from 3 local cultural councils, but not Amesbury, which is where they were going to be actually doing some of the production.
Yeah, I have that.
And they
one.
also had a pretty big marketing budget. It was like over 2,000.
There it is.
It just seemed
And
very.
I think that it's a
You
worthy
didn't see it
ongoing
last year.
thing.
I didn't
I
see
just
it last year.
wasn't,
I thought we turned it down.
I just couldn't
Let's
understand why they
put this one on the
wanted.
hold calendar too and see what we come up with
Yeah,
at
I
the
mean,
end.
I was sort of in the
It's-
hold
it's-
for 300 kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it just seemed like a very not complete proposal as well to me.
Okay, so you would say hold, but
Hold.
should I
Let's
do
say-
0 or?
let's just say 0 for now.
Okay,
I mean, I think it's, a worthy event for sure. I just wasn't sure that the amount they were asking really sort of meshed with
Very high.
what was going on.
19, so this is Delvina, Lizzie Borden and the 40 Wax, and Bon Voyage Forever. That's for the
Council-
COA.
Council on Aging
Yeah.
supported both.
And what we've done in the past is,
Pick one.
Choose one.
Yeah.
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 And
That was-
I don't know about
that's
you,
what we
but the 40 Wax really, I found that really offensive.
It's also
Just-
scheduled for Halloween, which I thought was an
Just
odd choice of date.
Ah.
I don't know what the timing of the day was, but I mean, that didn't sort of, it just sort of,
But, yeah.
Yeah,
Crossed my
actually,
mind.
On Halloween. How
It's just
odd.
kind of interesting that the cultural councils that they ask for money, the Lizzie Borden one is like Lynn, Northbridge, Everett, Spencer, and then,
Raleigh.
And Raleigh. Bon Voyage is Westford and Saugus.
Yeah, but that's probably because they perform it in those places.
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah.
perform it just
I
in
mean-
Newbury COA.
I think they've had a running relationship with the
Mhm.
Council on Aging in
Yeah.
Newbury, and so they keep coming back.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but-
yeah.
We
they-
have been,
see, what
we
luck,
have
they love
funded
it.
them.
Yeah.
They love it, right?
So,
We
but I
haven't
would,
funded them in full, though, generally.
I mean, I think I was looking at more like the Bon Voyage funding, but that was the more expensive one, so, and, you
But-
know.
but that'd be fine, if we reject one and then fund the other, I'd be happy to do it full.
Yeah, or, we could
Or
give
a
them
little off.
$650 and,
Yeah.
Mhm.
let them find
So-
the other $100.
Frankly, it'd be easier if we just did both at half, or something like that.
That's true.
Because that way we don't have to have a reason for reject.
Is Lizzie Borden the one that's at Halloween?
I mean, I don't
Well,
think
that
it's
explains why
unreasonable
it's
to
at
reject
Halloween.
that, 2 proposals came in, we felt that we only had funding to support one. Are we not allowed to say that?
Yeah, but I'll agree, it takes the onus off of us having to write a rejection letter if we
But
just
I-
can.
Oh, it's
I
done
think it makes it a
automatically.
lot harder on
Oh,
the Council
oh,
on
that-
Aging. then they
Okay.
have to find the rest of the funding. So it seems to me it'd be
But how are we
better
gonna-
support
how
if
are we
we're
gonna
just
pick
supporting
which
one
one?
versus half of two.
Well, I was thinking about writing to Cindy last week, Cindy Courier, and asking her if she had a preference, but I said, no, you know what, I'm just gonna, I wanted to hear what everybody thought.
So what do you think? I'm just gonna put it in here as reject the Lizzie Borden one and we accept the Bon Voyage and
Yeah,
we'll see where we
okay.
end up.
That's what we've done in the past.
Yeah, I
come
think
back.
that's fine.
Okay,
Brilliant.
all right, Newburyport, number 21, Newburyport Literary Festival takes place over a weekend in April, asking for $350, thinking,
300.
That's a yes, I would say.
Yeah,
Three-
I mean, they're-
I would go 300, and, for consistency.
300.
I'm sorry, you want 300, not 350?
I just was.
I guess I just consistently thought that, with a lot of these Newburyport organizations, when it's in that range, I've just sort of gone with the
What's
same
50
amount.
bucks?
No, to me, if they're asking for
Stretch our budget,
350,
Let's see what we've got
give them
left.
350, but let's run the numbers.
Well, then you should, oh, okay, you put it in red.
Okay, so 22 is Salisbury Days, Town of Salisbury.
I
That takes
just
place
don't-
next September.
Why are we funding the town of Salisbury?
The same reason Newburytown Day,
They
for
funded
funding from the local
Newburytown Day.
cultural councils.
They did,
They
Yeah.
funded us.
But we
They-
have
yeah.
two proposals from Town of Salisbury,
Yeah.
and
the second one I did not like.
No?
The
The mural?
mural, it's in Salisbury, it's a mural.
It's a
I was sort of like, I felt
Oh,
like
like
because
the
they had
skateboard
supported
park.
Newbury Town Day, maybe we wanted to support one. I wasn't quite sure which one to support. I would go more on, which one do we think more Newbury residents would use?
I want to make a
Right.
comment about this.
Yeah.
Newburytown Day is no longer, but was an initiative of, philosophically, of the Newbury Cultural Council. New Salisbury Day, on the other hand, is an initiative of the town of Salisbury,
Right.
right? So things have changed.
Yeah.
And at the town of Salisbury funds Salisbury Days, and it is an employee, a town employee. I've been thinking about this because, for obvious reasons, because of what we were talking about before regarding Newbury Town Day and what's going to happen with, it's becoming a town-sponsored event. Much like Salisbury's is a town-run event. So when it comes to cultural council funding, I really have to also, like you, question whether it actually makes sense for our cultural council to be funding New Salisbury Days. And I myself, I don't know about you, but from the sounds of what everyone's saying, none of us has been to Salisbury Days. I have not myself.
No.
But your logic is where I was.
Is it?
Yeah, which is that these are sponsored by the towns themselves.
Yeah.
And if you want to use our example here, next year, Newbury Town Day is going to be a town thing, and the cultural council is not contributing anything.
There will
Or is
be
it? There will
be,
be.
I know this because
Yeah.
of what I was telling you earlier, there will be no grants applications by Newbury Town Day for local cultural councils at all.
Okay. Yeah.
That's my take
So
from
my
the
reaction
discussion,
is
so
to no
that's
to this
unclear.
one.
Yeah, mine
More
is
from
too.
that perspective.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then the second one is one I didn't like, but I understand that sounds like people do, in which case then we would now have more money available to fund that.
Well,
If you'd like.
let's talk about the mural one, and just to counterpoint with you, Bart, and I'm not necessarily in favor of it. The situation as I understood it, and let's hear what everybody else has to say, is that Salisbury has a skate park for kids. And there's been tagging and graffiti, and they're trying to discourage that. And now, whether it is relevant to Newbury or not is open for discussion, but that was my take as to what they were trying to accomplish. I thought it was a really worthy cause. However, we have limited funds.
Well, but it also
Yeah,
involves
fine.
the Boys and Girls Clubs, right?
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that, through Triton or other, whether we have a
Good point.
population
You don't know what?
That's right.
is
That's
using
good.
the Boys and Girls Clubs
Oh, yeah.
involved from Newbury, they're, in Salisbury there.
Good point, and it
That
is
a
Triton.
good point.
I've
It
never
is
been thought of
Triton.
that.
It is
Can
Triton.
actually be Triton students.
It is an unusual proposal, so you,
Yeah,
you
and
know.
it's new, and
Um,
this is.
I think didn't know whether it would work. It was, but
How much
I
do they
wonder
have?
about that. I
Not
wonder
much.
how-
they,
We have enough money for it, but
You know, it'd be
I'm
300
persuaded that this is something that is attracting people from our area, which is good. And it is a worthy cause, I mean.
And it's kids.
Yeah, it's a bunch of kids, yeah. So,
Right, so why don't we,
So
see what we
It's
have
different, too.
and put some money
Put
towards it.
300 in red.
well, what we have left is, we're down to $868.
Ooh,
oh, really?
Yeah.
okay, so the Bluebird
Oh,
performance,
so we have one
I'm
more.
sorry, I jumped in.
Yeah.
We ready to move?
Yeah.
Okay. Last one is Bluebird Performance Venue Invitational Mic. And it is, I've been, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's poets and people who want to, well, you read the proposal. It was at the BCAC. They've moved to a church in Raleigh.
Rally.
Mhm.
I've been to it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I went to their I went to the last one, and it was great.
Mhm.
The
Oh,
quality
nice.
of the music was incredible.
Was it?
Oh,
Okay.
well, it's not that far away.
So I just am reading my notes. They're monthly shows.
Yeah, 11 monthly shows, it
Yeah.
says.
I mean,
January through
and
March.
I actually
I
asked-
looked at their website and I thought they had a lot of
Yeah.
really good, music
And-
and
Yeah.
ideas going.
And
So,
it's-
but I did question whether, again, just whether it was needing 500 from us versus, say, 300 again.
I just also wanted to mention, I'm sure you all picked up on this, but just for the record, there is a great emphasis on diversity.
It's a great one.
Also, diversity and disabilities and a forum, a performance forum, providing a performance forum for people with disabilities. That was my
Oh,
takeaway from the
wow.
And
grant
do we know
proposal.
why they are not performing at BCAC anymore?
I knew at one point,
I
but
got
I
the
think
sense
it
it
was
was budget, but I
historical.
wasn't quite
I'm
sure.
pretty
It was
sure.
historical, and I think then what they did, when BCAC was kind of going through its kind of stagnant period, this speculation, they probably went to the other church to get another venue.
my understanding
Yeah.
actually is that they found a better performance space than the BCAC.
It's
It
actually-
also sounded like they were only charging their rent was, if I read the proposal right, it was something about $1 per admission. So that would be probably cheaper than many
It
other
was,
places.
it was a nice performance, the quality was so good that we're actually reaching out to one of the performers to do some other stuff.
Oh, I
Yeah.
think that sounds really good. I mean,
I-
$10 for an adult, $5 for students, where can you go and pay?
Also,
that
just so that you know,
amount of money
I-
and have that?
I'm sorry, Rhonda.
No, that's okay, go ahead.
I emailed Alice with a question about, she mentioned performances at local libraries, and she mentioned Newbury, meaning Byfield. And so I asked her if she had reached out to the library, and she said yes. So it's possible that one of the performances might be at our Byfield Library.
Yeah,
Oh.
because it did say local libraries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to say, it was like going back to our other question regarding the guy from Plainfield. So I said, well, did you just kind of, again, say this to you? I would just want to make sure that it was not a pipe dream, that she actually had a real proposal to perform at libraries, meaning our library, and the answer is yes.
So, we
Okay.
have the money to fund the full thing.
Okay.
Oh, don't we have some to go back to though?
Yeah, we do.
So
Yeah, we do.
I
Yeah,
would,
that-
I would
that's a
put a
lot.
placeholder of 300
I
and then
agree.
see
Yeah.
if we want to go back and check anything else that
Yeah, I agree.
Okay,
we didn't reject.
Okay.
okay, so let me shrink it a little bit so we get it all on one screen. Okay, so what this shows is that we have $568 available. I think we put aside 50 or so just for paper and.
You
Uh,
said
but
you
what
put
about our
aside
700?
100. You said
Oh,
you
put aside 100, so I think this excludes that,
We,
so.
oh,
I
really?
still- Yeah,
Okay.
but let's, I think if we keep it within 100,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think you're right, I think it should be 6.
6, 7,
6, 7, 6, 8, so I
Yeah.
can do that. Okay. Okay, so there, that's where we are, so we have
So where does that leave us?
essentially just around $500,
Yeah.
just short of $500
Yeah.
left.
And this includes Plumfest, right, Bart?
Plum Fest, it is
Still in
already,
last
it's
year's.
in reserve from last year.
In reserve, that was my question, yeah.
So this is pretty much where we
Where-
are. I mean, so
Which
the-
ones do we have hold?
So we have Greater Newbury, so the reds right here, so these are on hold. This is not funded fully.
I would bump up Imagine Studios, the indigenous one to
Okay.
300.
Yeah.
Yep.
Make that 300?
Yeah,
Yeah.
300 there, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Trying to see what else is up.
Yeah, so Newbury, what was the Newbury Village was the.
Which one was that again?
What was
Newburyport
that one?
Village?
Newburyport Village.
When was
We
that?
were gonna go back to the Pentucket one. Did we want to? We have a hold there with no money in. Did
Oh, with
we
no
wanna
money,
give
yeah.
it 250 or 200 or?
so let me do this a little bit differently so that you can see it a little bit better. And so it looks like there's some issues there. Just looking at that.
Oh, that
So
was
all the
Children's
ones that
Festival.
we have done something on, this one on hold. We have this one on hold.
Oh, the Actors Studio. Yeah, we wanted, her story has nothing, which I think we should give something to.
Okay, well, those are the outstanding.
So there's
Okay.
two that we put on hold that have 0 right now, which is the Pentucket one and the Actors Studio, is that correct?
Yes,
I feel like the Herstory thing should get some support. Again, 300 would be, or 200 or whatever we have, I'm not quite sure what we have.
So what are they asking
368
for?
700 is what
Now
they
we have
asked.
60.
Now we have 68. So
Wow.
Pentucket, I mean, I don't know if 68 helps Pentucket or not, but
Well,
is there anything else?
Okay, so on the holds, okay, so Greater Newbury Village, they asked for 500, we're giving them 3.
Yep,
If we agree. Imagine Studios, that's 400, we'll give them 300.
yep.
Mary Elizabeth Murray is, which one is that again?
That's the Georgetown
That's the
Theater.
Georgetown Theater. 7,000, we give them 300.
Okay.
Or we could give them 368.
We could. I not,
Let's leave some money for stamps.
I would like to leave the $50 something here, but,
Mhm.
okay, then we have Pentucket, they asked for 250, we're not giving them anything. Actor Studio.
Nothing for Pawtucket?
We could give them 68.
Well, that's what we're saying, yeah.
Well, let's give them 50, I don't know.
Yeah, you can give them 50, that's
How's that?
yeah,
what's left. And
so is that.
and what's the other one?
We give 300 to the Actor Studio, they
Okay.
asked for 700. Newbury Literary Festival, 300 rather than 350.
It's all right.
And
Sounds like the only
Alice
place
and
50 could
Bluebird,
go.
300 instead of 500.
Mhm.
So you had commented
So-
about the literary festival getting full amount versus
Yeah. I
versus
think we
giving
should give
50
them
to
the
Pentucket. That's
$18.
Fine
sort of
with
your,
me.
okay.
You okay with where we are?
Sure.
All right, so we're down to 18
So-
bucks, that's pretty good.
Stacy Fitz.
Did not propose, there was no proposal
No,
to shoot
Stacy-
at theater
Stacy's-
workshop.
But we haven't
Stacy's been
funded
out.
her for a while.
She
Okay.
has? What's wrong? Didn't know. Okay.
Okay.
Didn't know that.
Are we
Alright,
good?
So are we set? Should we just,
So do you have all your reasons for declining sorted out?
I'll just do this here.
Yeah, Stacy
Yep.
was unable to be at Newburytown Day with her troupe.
Oh,
Because
sorry.
she's,
I didn't know that.
yeah, but they were there anyway, and
Yeah.
they were the troop of troopers.
So, Town of Salisbury, I just wrote here, town sponsored. what, is there, somebody wanna put a different reason?
We could say we had 2 proposals from the town of Newbury, or Salisbury, excuse me, and.
That's right, yeah.
And we're gonna only fund one.
Fund only one of 2 proposals.
I can't see that far. How
So
much
what
did
did
we
we
fund,
fund?
the mural for, Bart?
3, that was full, 300.
Wow,
Well, I think that, yeah.
wow. Yeah, that's a good.
Is
that's
that
really
a good wow or a
reason.
bad wow?
A good wow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know, when we started that discussion, I thought it was gonna be zip. And that's also a good reason, which is that we aren't funding, we don't have to make it up. That it's town sponsored, we don't have to say that, we can say it's because we received 2 from this town of Salisbury and we decided on one.
Fund on one of 2.
Yeah.
That's ideal, okay.
So Rob, I think you and I probably need to figure out how we have to put this into the system. It doesn't have to be done until January 17th.
January 17th, got the deadline written down.
Yeah.
I'll do it,
Okay,
yeah, no
so
problem.
I'm gonna send this to everybody.
Excellent.
I propose that we agree to this, right? Should we vote that this is our proposal? Is that what we should be doing for our notes and our minutes?
So what is the total we're awarding?
Uh,
Can you give me a,
6,000, I'll give you an exact number.
Yeah, 6,750, I believe?
Right.
Well,
That should be what it,
Yeah.
based on
67.
having it. And so for our 6868, we have 6,750 in grant awards to what? How many, 19?
there are 24 proposals with a duplicate.
19 were funded at 6,750,
Yep.
and $18 is left over. And $100 is set aside for administrative costs.
And 700 on reserve for,
Should we say 118 is left over for administrative costs?
That would be probably.
Yeah.
118.
do you have that, and I'm sorry, I can't see it. Do you have the Plum Fest on that spreadsheet?
No, because this is for 24.
It's for 24.
Right. I'm just asking if you,
So the answer
put
is
it there for
no.
record keeping.
Yeah, we do not have it on.
Okay.
Okay. So there we are, folks.
Looks pretty darn good.
Yeah, I'm gonna check the numbers, just make sure I got everything typed in correctly. I'll send it to everybody, and good work.
Okay, good.
All right.
7:18.
Is that
Where we adjourning?
What is that?
I move that we
Motion.
adjourn.
I second.
Second.
All right, all
All in
those in
favor?
favor?
Aye.
All right, all right.
Aye.
I'm gonna turn off the camera. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lloyd.